Hola Spain lovers, and welcome to another video. Now when most people talk about Spain, let's be honest, they talk about Madrid, they talk about Barcelona, they talk about Seville, maybe they talk about Malaga, but there's a region in Spain that gets very little attention. And that's despite having historic cities, gorgeous beaches, amazing food, and hardly any crowds. What is this part of Spain, I hear you asking? Well, it's Murcia, and Murcia might just be Spain's best kept secret. So in this video, we'll look at why this part of Spain, Murcia, is so often overlooked and whether it deserves to be at the top of your Spain bucket list. Let's go. Now you might be asking yourself the question, where exactly is Murcia? Well, it's tucked away in southeastern Spain between Andalusia and the Valencian community. It's bordered by the Mediterranean Sea with over 250 kilometers of coastline known as the Costa Cálida, or the warm coast. It's also one of the smallest of the 17 autonomous communities here in Spain. There's only one province, and yet it packs a surprising punch when it comes to variety. So why don't more people know about this part of Spain, the region of Murcia? Well, I reckon it's got something to do with the fact that there's not a huge international airport here. There is an international airport, but it's quite small. Not a lot of flights coming here from international destinations. And it doesn't have those big internationally famous tourist sites, like for example, the Alhambra in Granada or the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. That could also be a reason. But as I said before, there are plenty of interesting things to see and do in this part of Spain, and not only beaches. But I reckon that is part of Murcia's charm, not having those famous tourist destinations, because you're not going to see thousands of people walking around with selfie sticks, and that's a pro. Here it's all about an authentic Spanish experience, and that's what I like. Now if you're planning on moving to a place like this here in Spain, the Mediterranean coast, it's fundamental that you learn the local language, which, as we know, is Spanish. Ideally, you want to be able to combine education with entertainment. You want the learning to be fun, and my favorite way of doing this is with Lingo Pi. What is Lingo Pi? Well, it's an entertainment platform for language learners packed full of features to help you learn in a fun way. And it's not like a traditional method where you have to find time to learn, because with Lingo Pi, learning fits in with your daily habits. For example, you've just finished your dinner, you want to sit down and watch your favorite TV series or movie, then Lingo Pi is for you, because it's packed full of TV series, movies and music, and you can connect Lingo Pi to Netflix and watch all your favorite content. With Lingo Pi's interactive subtitles, if you don't know the meaning of a word, you can click on it and the definition appears. You can also perfect your pronunciation with the Say It feature. Check this out.
A pesar de su vergüenza.
A pesar de su vergüenza. And another thing I love about Lingo Pi is the interactive flashcards and the quiz features. So learn languages the fun way with Lingo Pi. Click the link below and start your free trial. Now back to the video. Now let's get away from the coast, head inland and see what the interior part of Murcia has to offer. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's plenty of things to see and do there. Now, when it comes to cost of living, Murcia, in my opinion, is one of the cheapest autonomous communities here in Spain, not only when it comes to real estate, but also when it comes to eating out, eating and drinking, and day-to-day expenses. There's lots of fresh produce available here because Murcia, as you guys know, I've said it before, is the market garden of Europe, so lots of fresh produce, decently priced fresh produce, and eating out and drinking doesn't cost an arm and a leg. In fact, on the coast here, in a place called La Manga del Mar Menor, I couldn't believe the price I paid for a beer. Check this out. When I say prices here are a lot cheaper than in other parts of Spain, you've got to believe me. This beer here, €1.20. I haven't seen prices like this for a long time, and we're on the coast. The region of Murcia is also well connected to other parts of the country. Obviously, the neighbouring autonomous communities, that being the Valencian community, Andalusia, also Castilla-La Mancha, well connected, but it's easy to get to Madrid also, and there are high-speed rail connections to the capital city Murcia nowadays. There's an airport, an international airport, which I mentioned before. Not a lot of flights coming in, but there are flights available from the UK, for example. And another thing I have to mention about Murcia is that it's not all about the coast. Yeah, the coastal areas are quite attractive. Lots of foreign people living on the coastal areas here in Murcia, but there's also lots of attractive interior towns like the one where I am now. Even though looking at some of the housing around here, you wouldn't get that impression, but the surroundings of this town here are quite attractive. And if we look at this article here at the 10 prettiest towns in the region of Murcia, we'll go through them now. This one here, Cieza, comes in at number 7 according to this publication. Also on the list is Moratalla, Caravaca de la Cruz, Calasparra, Jumilla, Cabo de Palos, Bullas, Aledo, Blanca, and this one here, Feguin. So there's a lot more to Murcia than just the coastal areas, so check those out as well. And Murcia also has a decent food scene. In fact, I have been surprised by the quality of some of the dishes that I have eaten in this part of Spain. I've had local traditional food, which was very hearty, very tasty indeed. Then also in the coastal areas, the seafood is a standout too. And some of the daily lunch specials in the regional parts of Murcia are some of the best lunch deals in the country, so check those out as well. And don't forget wine. Murcia is a wine producing area, and some of the local wines that I've tried here are also very, very good indeed. In fact, I think Murcia has various denominations of origin when it comes to wine, so check those out as well. However, not everything here in Murcia is perfect, and I'll tell you about some of the cons of this part of Spain right now. Now, back in the day, around the mid-2000s, Murcia was being touted as the next big thing in Spain. Places like Alicante were saturated, Andalusia was also saturated, and people here in Murcia saw this land as the next big opportunity, not only for locals, but also for foreigners as well, to buy cheap property close to the coast and enjoy everything that this part of Spain has to offer. That is, for example, the cheap prices and the weather. These huge real estate projects were being promoted in many parts of Murcia, especially closer to the coastal areas, because let's be honest, that is the part of Murcia that is easier to sell to foreigners. And famous people here in Spain were putting their names behind some of these projects. But then comes 2008, the Spanish economy crashes, the Spanish real estate sector crashes, and Murcia went downhill. I don't know how many of these grandiose projects were abandoned. Half-built hotels and resorts were just left sitting there, half finished. You can still find them here in Murcia if you do a little bit of research to find out exactly where they are. And lots of people, as a result, got their fingers burnt with these projects. And basically, Murcia, like other parts here in Spain, spent the next 10 years trying to recover. The good news is that nowadays, Murcia is growing. In fact, it's one of the highest growth areas in Spain at the moment, I believe. Infrastructure projects have come in to this part of Spain. The connections with high-speed rail, as I mentioned before, are working, and Murcia is again up and running, but for how long? Nobody knows. So this part of Spain, although it might seem attractive visually, has had a lot of problems in recent times, so you're going to have to keep that in mind. Now, you could be under the impression, given the fields that I have behind me and the fact that Murcia is the market garden of Europe, that water isn't an issue in this part of Spain, but believe me, it is. A lot of the water that feeds these fields comes from other parts of Spain. There's infrastructure in place to bring water from one of Spain's main rivers, the Tagus River, down to this part of the country. And let's be honest, without that, we wouldn't have this, I don't think. And another problem when it comes to water here is that often when it does rain, it pours, and parts of Murcia are prone to flooding. Even as recently as this year, some parts of Murcia, especially in the coastal areas, were underwater. So water issues in this part of Spain also need to be taken into account should you be planning a move here. So is the region of Murcia Spain's most underrated region? I don't know. I'll let you guys answer the question. I'm going to be honest, the time that I have spent here, I've liked what I have seen. I like the capital city, Murcia. I like the Mar Menor. I liked La Manga. The food, as I said, is good, and I wouldn't hesitate recommending this area here. And let's be honest, thousands of people from other parts of Europe have moved to this part of Spain over the years, and I'm going to say they enjoy their life here. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you are familiar with this part of Spain, I would love to hear your opinion on it. Let me know in the comment section below. And if you are considering a move to this part of Spain also, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you never miss miss a video that I publish, and subscribing will help the channel grow, and we're aiming for 100,000 subs this year, so hit the subscribe button. Until the next one, hasta luego from the region of Murcia.